And I got to noticing they was letting off at the flag stand. And I was trying to drive it like I did Huntsville. I was driving it plumb down in the corner.
Johnny, I want to thank you for coming down today and sharing your story of your racing and things that's gone on in your life. Start back in the beginning with us in the early days of your life and how you got interested in racing.
Well, I sort of grew up in it. My dad raced before I was born, I guess. And then when I was just a kid, he was still racing dirt. He loved the dirt. He always talked to me about the dirt days. But and then he when they paved the Huntsville Speedway in '62, I believe, he got out of it for a few years. But then eventually, like in probably 68 or something, he got back into it a little bit. And I was just always around it.
Yeah. And you started helping some people early on in your life, correct?
Yeah. I was working at the Lincoln Mercury dealership, and Harold Lemley had his race shop right next door. And when I was probably 16, I started helping Harold a little bit and helped him for probably 4 or 5 years. And then
now, what all did you do? I mean, I there's no doubt. I think a lot of people need to understand this about you. I didn't know it till we spoke the other day. Is that your career in the automotive world and being in the paint and body business and learning your skills there, correct?
Yeah, that's my dad was in the body business, and so naturally I went into it, and that's sort of how I got to helping Harold. We started painting his cars and stuff for him. That's how I got in with him.
Yeah,
and like I said, helped him for 4 or 5 years, and then he told you the other day he took his car to another team to keep it up, which I understood it. A lot less work. All he had to do was show up at track and race. So when he did that, I went and started helping my cousin, Tony Pitts. He was running street stock at that time. And I helped him through the years through street stock. And then we went to what they call limited, and then eventually late model.
And y'all mostly racing at Huntsville, guys were?
Yeah, we ran Huntsville. And then when, I don't know what year it was, probably, I guess it was the early 80s when Ben David started the KISS series.
Mm-hmm.
We did some traveling with Tony and it. We ran Nashville, Jackson, Mississippi, and we traveled around with it a little bit.
And what all did you do with him? I mean, did you get involved in the technical suspension stuff and all that as well?
Yeah, with Tony, I eventually, which my dad was still helping us too. He helped us, and pretty much me and Tony basically called most of the shots. Me and Tony would sit down and discuss what we felt like we needed to do and stuff like that. And we was both learning together basically. He had to take off and take care of his dad, and my brother Mark, he was 16 or 17. Him and some of his buddies was wanting to get involved in it. They had been helping us around the shop a little bit. So that's when I took the plunge and went and bought me a mini stock, bought me a Pinto.
So this was a winning car at Huntsville that you went and bought?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Jerry Gibbs. Bought it from Jerry Gibbs. He was winning pretty regularly, and he was getting out of it. So I went and bought him out. He said if it went on a Pinto, I had to take it. So.
That's the way some races are. You got to take it all. You can't take part of it.
That's
correct?
it. Yeah.
And so you start racing this Pinto, and you're having some good success.
Yeah, that was in '92. We ran. I think it was July before we finally won a race. Started in 1st of April, and I think July we finally won a race. And of course, all the drivers, everybody was happy and congratulating you. And then from July on to about September, end of the season, we won a couple more, and there wasn't as many congratulations.
Now, was your daddy really excited about being back involved in racing?
Oh yeah, he loved it. He's just like my brother Mark. They both love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it too, but I believe they both had it a lot worse than I did.
Is that right? You think so?
I think so.
Yeah. So you run this Pinto for a full season?
Yeah, that was 92. After being around the late model stuff and everything, I looked at stuff on the Pinto and I felt like we could do better. So we over the winter of 92, between 92 and 93, we built a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the little orange car that we built, and it made a lot of people mad. Put it that way.
You said you won a ton of races with that car, correct?
Yeah, probably. I think we won 12 at Huntsville and a couple at Birmingham.
You shared with me last night about your trip to Birmingham, because Birmingham was kind of its own group of people, and they were out here doing their thing every week and had their group of winners, and Johnny Brazier from Lickskillet, Alabama pulls in with this Pinto, correct?
Yeah. It was sort of a rocky start, I guess. They didn't like us too well right off the bat, but then in the mini stock days, they didn't. I don't think they. But through the years, I've learned that for some reason the lower classes they're a little more difficult. Once you get to late model, everybody's got pretty equal equipment and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But in the lower classes, there's a little complaining about, cheating and stuff like that, which it goes on.
Yeah, I understand.
But everybody was doing it.
So you had some jack bolts in the front of this Pinto when you come to Birmingham?
Yeah, we had wedge bolts, and we that first time we showed up, and they told us it was a Scirocco that had won all the races down there, and said ain't no Pinto ever outrun it. Well, when we left there, that wasn't the case. And but
so that had to be a big track from you coming from Huntsville to Birmingham. That's a pretty. The banking's not all that much, and for you to fall in and really learn how to get around that place right off the bat, you had to have a really nice car.
Yeah, the car was good, and I must tell you that I had a little inside info. A man, he told me what I needed to do when I got down here. That man was Jimmy Kitchen.
Really?
Jimmy had gave me some pointers on it. Yeah. He had been up to Huntsville, and I got to know him.
So how did y'all make friends there? How did you start your conversations with Jimmy?
My brother-in-law, David Ray, was helping him because Jimmy was basically traveling by himself.
Yeah.
And when he'd come up to Huntsville, David would help him.
Okay.
And I got to meet him through David, and we got to talking, and he was the one that he'd watched us race, and when we decided we was going to come down here, he gave me a few pointers on how to get around that place a little bit. And his biggest pointer was, and he was true, you got a driver down in there.
Especially 1 and 2.
1 and 2. You don't break, you just got to let the momentum carry you through the center.
Yeah, because I was watching a race the other night. It was one of the all-pro races from, the Hooters Pro Cup from 96. And almost all of them were about the middle of the corner and trying to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
And even the leaders at that time. And I was sitting there watching it, and I said, the guy, Marty Lindley, ends up winning the race, and he was working Freddie Query, and he just kept working the bottom. And I thought, man, if you'd just go to the outside of him right there, you take the money pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And stuff. But that was a great run. So you come to Birmingham and you win the first time out and outrun the Scirocco.
And then they disqualified us had wedge bolts on the front, which was legal at Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
And being a Southern All-Star weekend, we assumed that it would be okay down here, but they didn't like that. So we went back home. And then later that year, the next Talladega weekend, I guess, when was they running back? May, I think, was their second one in Talladega, and we come back down, which we called down here and asked the officials what we would have to change on it. And that's basically what they told us. So we took the wedge bolts out, and we come back down and started 21st in a 20-lap race and made it back to the front.
Wow, and that was paying a pretty good bonus for 21 cars, correct?
Yeah, they I think it paid $600 to win, and then if they had over 20 cars, they was going to pay a $400 bonus, and just so happened we made the 21st car, so
wow,
we got the bonus too.
So you're a 20 lap race, and you're passing probably 1 car a lap, if the math's correct, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We was trying to. That's what they was telling me. It's a funny story I didn't tell you the other day. I made it up to probably 7th or 8th, and it was 2 cars running side by side. And I followed them for about 2 laps, and it was in my head, I've got to pass a car a lap. And I've done followed these 2. And so I come off 2, and we went down the back straightaway, and I went down, had my left sides in the grass at Birmingham. And went by both of them down the back straightaway. Well, after the race, we went up in the stands to watch the late model, Southern All-Star late model cars. We was sitting up there, me and my crew and everything. A bunch of us was sitting up there, and this guy walks up to me and he said, "Was you driving that 71 car?" And I thought, uh-oh. I said, "Yeah, that would be me." He said, "You scared the hell out of me."
Did he?
He said, "You come." I said, I was looking at whoever he was racing with on the outside and said, "I heard something go by me on the inside." I thought, oh, he's fixing to hit me when he walked up.
So that was one of your competitors that okay.
Yeah, you driving that 71 car? And I was, uh-oh, what did I do?
No doubt. So you're 30-something years old when you began to race, correct?
I was 34 when I crawled off in the mini stock.
Wow.
92, yep.
That's pretty incredible. So how many years did you run this mini stock?
92 and 93.
Okay.
And at the end of 93, we went to Nashville up there to a race, just up there watching. And my father-in-law, one of his good friends, Gary Myers, had a late model up there that Nicky Formosa was driving. And we was talking, and Gary told my father-in-law, Moody, said, "Y'all can buy that thing tonight, and he can drive tonight if you want to." But
wow.
I didn't really think a late model at Nashville was a good place to start, so we told him if it come back home in one piece on Monday, we'd come up and buy it.
Right.
So on Monday morning, we went down and bought it from him.
Wow. Okay.
And
what kind of chassis was this?
It was a Charlie Chamney. It was
Okay.
a local guy that built him, Charlie Chamney up in Huntsville. And we took it to the house, and it was white. And of course, I painted it red before we went to the racetrack.
Right. Yeah.
And we went to Huntsville a time or two, and then we started traveling the Southern All-Stars. But
so you really didn't run that car locally at Huntsville very much?
Not much, not very much, just a very little.
Yeah. So what makes you guys go directly to the Southern All-Stars? That's a pretty good jump.
We just wanted to travel and run different tracks.
Okay.
We ran Huntsville. I ran that car with that body the end of 93. And over the winter, 93 and 94, we put a new body on it. It had a probe body on it.
Okay.
And over the winter, we put a Thunderbird body on it.
Okay. Yeah.
And went back to Huntsville a few times, and then we come to Birmingham because I like Birmingham right off the bat.
You had to. You won your first 2 races there. I mean, it'd be hard not to like it.
Yeah, so I liked it. I mean, that over my whole career, that was actually my favorite track. Birmingham, I love that place.
Now, what was your second favorite?
It's real close. I like my local track, Huntsville, but I love Nashville too.
I do too. Yeah.
Nashville and Huntsville would be right there together.
Nashville was just such a track that the aerodynamics become a factor, and it tied your car down, and I think it was a sensation that I'd never experienced before just because of the speed and the banking.
Oh yeah, and the track's rough. I mean, so the sensation of speed is really awesome at Nashville. I mean, I've been to Bristol, and to me, because of the roughness and the on edge at Nashville, it gives a sensation of speed more than Bristol did to me.
Right? Wow.
Bristol when I ran it was smooth. That's when it was still the real high bank.
Now, how many times did you get to run Nashville? I mean, Bristol.
We went up there twice with the
All-Pro?
Yeah.
Okay. How was your runs there?
And we didn't do too good.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about that.
Okay. That makes you not like it so much.
Actually, one of them, I cut a left rear tire down in practice and backed it into the outside wall. So
yeah,
that wasn't a good day.
So, all right. So you got this car and you come back and you put your probe body on it.
Put a T-bird body.
A T-bird on it. That's
yeah.
correct.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. And we ran Huntsville a few times. Then we started traveling, and seemed like every time we went to a bigger track, we was blowing motors.
Yeah.
So after about the fifth or sixth motor we blowed, I told my dad and my father-in-law both. I said, we just spinning our wheels here. There's really no need of keep doing this. I said, until we can buy a store-bought motor or something from a legit engine builder or something. I said, we just may as well quit. I ain't getting no seat time, ain't getting no practice, we're just spending money. So my father-in-law, he was good friends with Mickey Gibbs' daddy, Donald Gibbs. So that couple of days later, Moody called him, and sure enough, he said Mickey had a couple of engines for sale. So we went down there to, what is it, where are they from? Down around Gadsden.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, Southside,
yeah,
I think.
We went down there and wound up coming home with two motors.
Did you really?
Yeah, sure did.
So you shared with me the other night that anytime Don and your father-in-law and stuff got together, it was a pretty good time, correct?
Yeah, it was a pretty good time. Yeah. Donald, he liked his drinks.
Mm-hmm.
And it just so happened that day we got down there about 5 o'clock one afternoon, and he said, y'all got here at the perfect time. He just cracked open his first one.
Yeah.
So being trying to be sociable and make deals, me and my father-in-law both joined in with him. My dad, he didn't. He was a driver. So
yeah.
So we tried to hang in there with him.
You bought some really good motors from him, I
bought
understand.
Some really good motors. Both of them was good. One of them was a 351, built out of a 351 block. The other motor was built out of a 302 block. And that's the one that Mickey said, if anything in Southern All-Star outruns that, and he'll give you money back.
Wow. Okay.
So we wound up with both of them, and he was right on that motor, that little 302, which he had, I believe they told me Mickey had actually qualified in Winston Cup with that motor at Charlotte, like 13th.
Really?
So it was a really strong motor. Back then we were still running compression motors.
Yeah.
And it was a really good motor.
So you put this motor in the car and you take off running really well, just right out of the box? Well,
not really. We went to first race we went to Montgomery and got down there and found some metal in Oberg, and it turned out to be a tip of a wrist pin spiral lock. And so we didn't run it. So that meant we had missed the first two races in 95, and Birmingham, the early bird, and then Montgomery. Took the motor back, and one finally got up with the guy that built it, John Kazi. Finally got in with him and got the motor built. And I don't remember where the next race we went to, but right off the bat, we ran good. We knew we had a good car. We had a Bobby Ray Jones car. We bought it in 95. It was a new chassis in 95. We still had the old Charlie Chambers chassis, but then we had the
so you got fresh stuff. I mean, you really stepped your game up and really brought a nice race car and nice motor and have got great expectations, I suppose, at that time.
Oh yeah, we felt like we had as good equipment as anybody unloading, so we expected to be competitive, but where we was lacking was behind the wheel because not much seat time there up until that point. So we got to running pretty decent. And then.
So when's the first time you feel like that you're competitive? Do you remember that day?
Yeah, that was probably about middle of the season. We was in Pensacola, and we was still running top 7 or 8. And then a bunch of the leaders, Mike Harmon included at that time. Mike was, when he unloaded, he was the man to beat at that time.
Right.
Him and Dave Mater driving BR's house car. That's what you had to beat. So they pitted, a few of them pitted, so that put us out front. And we led for a little while. And of course, the new tires, they eventually got by us, and I think we wound up 4th or 5th. It was a good finish for us. And on the way home, I told my brother and my dad both. I said, we can run with these people.
Mm-hmm.
I said, we can do this. And after that, you've raced. Confidence goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
When you feel like you've got the equipment and you've got the confidence too, it goes a long ways. And then the remainder of that year, we started running basically top 5s. And then at the end of the year, we Birmingham had the World Classic, and lo and behold, somehow we won that thing.
Wow, that was a big win.
That was a big win. That was a funny, sort of a funny finish on that race too. I was leading, and Marty Lindley was actually running second.
Okay.
And had a caution, and my crew was gave the one to go. My crew told me, we got 5 to go. 5 laps to go. Hang on.
Okay.
So I'm okay. I'm going to give it all I got. So I'm running. We run 5 laps. And of course, they're over there in the middle of the pits. You know how Birmingham was. They come over the radio. They're congratulating me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've not seen the white flag, let alone the checkered flag. So I'm still racing.
Okay, are you?
Yeah. I'm like, Marty's all over me. So we come around, and they give me the white. So we actually ran 7 laps, and they was congratulating me after 5. They don't.
It's luckily you were keen enough to realize that.
Too smart, but I watch the flags usually.
That's very important. I think, remember Mark Martin in Nashville, Bristol, he come in.
Exactly, yeah. Sure.
So if he can do it, I think any of us are capable. So that was a great win. I'm sure your crew and like all of you gained a lot of confidence in yourself and really felt good about the direction that you were going.
Oh yeah, we had that wound up the year pretty good.
So who's helping you sponsor wise during this period of time?
During this time, it was basically just running out of our pockets, myself and my dad and my father-in-law.
Uh-huh. Basically
at that time, we didn't have no big sponsors. We were just doing it on our own, having fun.
Yeah. So how's the next year begin for you?
Well, 96 come along, and of course we've got all kind of confidence going into 96, and I think we come to the early bird. I'm pretty sure we backed it up with a win again at Birmingham. Wow. And then, because I know I think the first 6 races, our worst finish was like a 3rd.
Wow.
We had like 2 wins, 2 or 3 seconds. And
okay.
So we was on the road in 96. It was really took off. And like I said, the confidence was really, we had confidence. Plus we was getting track time, seat time. We knew what the car wanted, what it needed.
Right.
And the engine and the chassis was still, a year old. It was still pretty fresh.
So you're still running one of the same motors that you got from the Gibbs?
Still running the Kazi motor.
Okay.
Which we had took it back over the winter, and he had freshened it up.
Okay.
And that's another story there in itself. He told me, he said, Johnny, this thing, the crank has got a hairline crack in it.
Mm.
And I said, he said, I think it'll be okay. He said, but at the end of the season, we need to think about putting a crank in it. He said, it should make it the season. So, he went, and like I said, we was winning races and doing good, and wound up end of the year. We had done sold the points, the championship up in 96, going into the last race at Montgomery.
Okay.
Well, we running good in Montgomery, but I come up off the corner and it shakes. And so because he didn't miss it by many laps, about 40 laps, he missed it. It broke that crank.
Wow.
But good thing we already had the championship.
That's right. So you finished 95, you finished second after missing several races.
After missing first two.
Yeah, and then you come back in 96 and win the championship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Then we go into 97 and still got confidence, but we're really not as dedicated in 97. We're not really going in chasing points.
Yeah.
But then we got about halfway through the season and we was in the points chase with Tim Fryer.
Okay.
Tim was leading the points, I think, at the time. And me and Tim had a couple of races there that I would say sparked a little rival.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the chase was on.
y'all turned it up.
Yeah, turned it up. The chase was on, and we gonna go after this championship. And I think we wound up. We went into the last race that year was in Jefferson, Georgia, and I went into it leading by, I think, 6 points. So all I needed to do was stay in front of Tim or keep him in sight, right in front of me. So we did. We went into the race and we was running, and my car, I didn't know what had happened to it, but I had Tim right in front of me, and I'm good with this. And then the car, the last 10 or 12 laps, it just goes bad loose. It's just getting really bad. Mm. And I'm hanging on, trying to hang on, and here comes Tony Walls, about 3 to go. He's fixing to pass me, and I'm fixing to lose another spot. So I'm pretty much blocking a whole lot. And Tony was he was a friend of mine and my father-in-law and him, so he drove me clean, and we wound up, I think, winning that championship by 2 points over Tim.
Did you really?
And I didn't know what had happened to the car, and pulled up on the front straightaway, and the left rear tire had like 4 pounds of air in it.
Really?
It
went to nothing.
It had a puncture. It had run over something, and it was going down. So that explained why it just went away. So we probably a couple more laps wouldn't have been.
That's correct. Yeah, but it's amazing that you hung on. So now you got 2 championships in consecutive years.
Yeah.
Wow. And whose chassis you running then? You still running
That was the BR chassis.
Still running the BR?
BR chassis.
Okay.
In 98, what did I do? 98, we sort of slacked off a bunch. We actually, where I live now, we started clearing some land to build houses.
Right.
My father-in-law had bought some land, and me and my sister-in-law and Moody, my father-in-law, was building houses. So 98 and 99 was sort of just hit and miss races here and there.
Right. And
then I believe 2000s when I think that's when I got the auto grill perimeter chassis to run the All Pro series, which eventually become the Southeast series. But I think 2000 we started venturing off into the Southeast series, still running.
Did you think that was a step up as far as competition level? I would think so.
Yeah, it was, and believe me, I learned a whole lot from them drivers.
Yeah, right.
They was very aggressive drivers.
Right.
You had to be very aggressive with them. They was clean drivers, but they was very aggressive. And if you was holding them up, they would let you know.
Right, in a hurry.
In a hurry.
So how'd your season go in 2000 with that series?
Yeah, we just got our foot in the door. We was mid pack, wasn't doing all that well. Just venturing around different tracks. We didn't run the whole full season. And I think in 01 was, I think, when we decided to start running pretty much with just them instead of, because then we were still running some Southern All-Star in Huntsville every once in a while.
Right, yeah.
And then I think we decided to start running with them, and finally got our foot in the door with NASCAR, because I tell you, they don't treat you really, the officials don't treat you really well when you're first trying to get in there with them.
Right, yeah.
They're pretty hard on you.
I think they're trying to set a precedent for you.
Exactly. They pick and nitpick everything, and I'm pretty sure it was 01, and then we ran that season, and we started having some better runs, especially at some of the tracks that I like Greenville, Pickens. I finally figured that place out. That was a story in itself. We the first time I went there, we couldn't get the car to turn, and come in, Mark would make adjustments on it, and I'd go out, and car doing the same thing, wouldn't turn. So finally, after a couple of changes, come in, he puts it up on jack stand. We're gonna make some major changes. So while he's doing that, I get up on top trailer and I start watching the other cars practice. I start watching the fast cars like Jeff Fultz and David Ruderman and some of the faster boys. And I got to noticing they was letting off at the flag stand. And I was trying to drive it like I did Huntsville. I was driving it plumb down in the corner. And so I sort of learned a little bit, and I went back out and car turned then.
Really?
I was just way over driving the corners.
That's easily done, don't you think? I think that's probably one of the things that you got to learn the most is to back those corners up.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you'll never get it to handle.
Yeah, it's very easy. Well, you can get away with it on the bank tracks, you know, but Greenville's pretty flat.
Right.
It's a flat track. It's actually I would say the slowest corner speed of any track I've ever run.
Wow. Yeah.
It just seems like you run down in there and stop, but that's what you got to do
to get around there.
And we ran top 3 and top 4, 3 or 4 different times up there.
Wow.
Against some, like I said, you had Fultz and Ruderman. I mean, you had a bunch of good racers.
And all those guys that were from right there also.
Yeah. A bunch of Gentry. He was always good up there. Randy Gentry. He was some good racers from right up around there. And but it was a fun track. Once I figured it out, I had a blast.
Yeah. And so you running a GARC chassis still through that whole process?
Yeah, we still running the grill car. And then I guess it was 03 is when we was getting pretty good runs in that class. We was running all over the southeast here, Greenville, Anderson, Myrtle Beach.
How many crew members have you got going with you at this time?
We probably had about 6 or 7.
Okay,
we had a pretty good crew back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes that many.
Oh, back then, definitely. But we was running all over the place, running up and down the interstates, and having pretty good luck on some tracks. You know, they had us running we ran the Kentucky Super Speedway and the Nashville Super Speedway, 1 1/3 and a 1.5 tracks, and that was definitely a different experience.
A lot of those guys had speedway specific cars.
Yeah, and engines and
all that.
Yeah, and we struggled up there, but we figured a few things out. We eventually run decent. I think best finish was I think Nashville. I finished 8th or 9th. It was a pretty good run for us. It was a learning experience. They had NASCAR had restrictor plates on us, so you just forgot about the brake pedal pretty much. Just mash it down and
hold on.
It felt real slow down straightaways, but when you got to the turns and had to make that turn, you was like, "Whoa, we're running pretty good here." 60 mile an hour and have to turn. You could tell it when you got to the end of the straightaway. But
so, how many years did you run in that series?
I guess from 2000, I'd say '01 to 01, '02, and '03. And 03 is when we wound up finishing 7th in the points. And I think that's the year Charlie won the championship that year. Charlie Bradbury. I think he won the championship that year.
We lost him way too soon, didn't we?
Yes, we did. I thought the world of Charlie. He is a good one.
He's a good competitor.
He was going to be a really good one.
Yeah.
But that was 03, and we finished 7th in the points, so we got that invite to the Toyota All-Star Showdown in Irwindale, California.
Okay.
Out there in L.A. So me and Charlie, Mr. Bradbury and him, we got together, and I furnished a truck, an 18-wheeler, and a driver, and they furnished a stacker trailer, and we hauled his car and my car to California. We shared the expenses. And we got out there, and it was a fun track at Progressive Banking. It was fun. You could run 3 or 4 wide, but if you was going to go fast, you was up against the wall.
Right,
that was the groove. But when you was following somebody, you always had that tendency to dive down there like I'm going to pass them.
Right, yeah.
And you thought you had them passed till you hit the straightaway, and here they'd go back by you.
The momentum means a lot, doesn't it?
Exactly. Out there, it was something else, and it was a bunch off the top side.
So you only ran out there one time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just once. But that was the end of 03 for the top 10 in, I think it was 4 different regions. They had like Southeast, Southwest, whatever was up northeast, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they had something out in the middle, like, I don't forgot what it was called, mountain something or another, but it was 4 regions in the top 10 from, so it was just basically an invitation, 40 cars out there.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was a good experience. And of course we flew out, so that made it a lot nicer.
Yeah, no, that's right. Instead of that drive. So you run that to what? The series goes away in like 05, is that correct?
Well, that was 03.
Okay.
End of 03. And 04, we done finished 7th in points, so we gung ho, we gonna make a run for the championship in 04.
Okay.
So we having some pretty decent runs, and then.
So how you step your game up? You got new car, new motors?
No, we just freshened up stuff,
okay.
and still the same chassis, but we had updated some stuff on it.
Right.
We felt like we was in better position, and then me and my brother and actually my father got put in the hospital, and they thought it was his gallbladder, is what they was telling us. And we didn't want to go to Houston out there to race, but he insisted.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I'm going to be okay. Y'all go race. Y'all take care of the racing. I'm going to be okay. So we take off to Houston. We get out there, and it's the day before, and we at the motel about 4:00 in the morning. I get the call, and he passed away.
Wow. What caused it?
A heart attack.
Oh, you ended up having a heart attack from it.
So me and my brother and Wick Taylor's on board at this time. And Wick tells my sister-in-law, my Mark's wife, to get on the phone, get us some flights back.
Mm-hmm.
So Wick really jumped in on that. And he got us a rental car and flights back. And the only flight we could get was back into Nashville. Mm-hmm. So we flew back into Nashville, and then he rented a van. We drove on about an hour and a half to the house. We come on back, and so I missed that race. So that sort of took us out of the points.
So your dad was only 69 years old?
69 years old.
Wow. Yeah.
And that sort of, that took us out of that race, and it sort of took a lot of the, I guess, ambition out of it then.
Right, yeah.
So I went through a little spell there, I guess. I don't know. I guess you call it depression or something. Racing didn't seem all that important anyway.
Right. Did it affect you and Mark both about the same?
Yeah, pretty much. We just wasn't all that enthused about it.
Yeah.
And then as time went on, we talked about it, and knew what he'd want.
That's correct.
So we got back after it a little bit, but then that was finished 04 out. And then 05, that's when they had the shortened year. And I just couldn't, I really didn't see the value of buying all the NASCAR license and everything for the whole crew.
Right.
Myself and the crew, and for 4 or 5 races. So,
right. Yeah.
So we didn't, like I said, our ambition wasn't all that much.
Yeah.
So we just sort of didn't really get enthused about it. We just knocked around Huntsville on a few races here and there.
So you parked the perimeter car and get the straight rail back out?
Pretty much. Just run some here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But and then 06, that's when we had I had bought that new I had bought the new, I guess it 04. Yeah, that's something I left out. 04 so when we got Ray Jones to build us a new straight rail car.
Okay. Yeah.
And we ran it. We went to Lakeland, Florida, first time out with it, and the car sort of struggled a little bit. We brought it back and made some updates on it, and it turned out to be a pretty good car. Actually, it's my open wheel car now.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I wrecked it at Huntsville and had to put a front cliff on it, so I just put a stock cliff on it and made an open wheel out of it.
So how many classes did you run the last few years? You get running the open wheel?
I've been running open wheel and some pro and some very little super.
Okay.
But that was 04. We ran like I said, we didn't run all the 04 Southeast Series after Dad passed away. And we had that straight rail car. We ran it some of the, I guess Hooters. We was running some Hooters races.
Yeah.
That's what it was at the time.
Right.
And they had a late model class. We was running some Hooters races. And just knocking around with it. And then did that basically same thing in 05. Just knocked around with the Hooters and a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess 06, we really got back into it pretty heavy. We, like I said, Wick Taylor had come on board, so we had some funding behind us, and that's when I had bought that the grill straight rail car from it was old Ricky Turner car, and I bought it, and it was a really good car. And
it came with a motor and a whole.
It come with an Ernie Elliott motor, and we started running it and started having pretty good success with it. That went in, I guess that was probably in 05 or 05, sometime in 05. In 06, we had that car plus the guess we still had the new Ray Jones car and the perimeter car, Frankie perimeter car, which I started running it at Huntsville, which I still, if you say me at Huntsville, that's the car I run.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's won a ton of races at Huntsville.
Wow.
And it's like a 1999 chassis. And what's funny about it, it's a 99 chassis. The engine is still the engine I got from Mickey Gibbs.
Is it really?
Which was originally built in 1990.
Really? Golly.
And I've still got the car and the engine. That's what, if you say me at Huntsville, that's what I'm running.
Is that right? Wow.
It's just a good combination. I don't know what it is about it. It's a good combination. But then, like I said, we went into 06 and we was funded, and we had a good year. That was my last World Classic.
Okay.
You probably remember that one.
I think so. Should I?
I think so. I think it was old red car all over me.
Was it?
I think it was. I think it was.
Yeah, that was a good race.
It was.
Yeah.
I was glad when it was over. I was hoping you was going to get tired back there sooner or later.
I probably did. That was talking about those days. I mean, and I always thought of you as a classy racer, and you always done a good job. And I don't even think we ever had any issues or anything to my knowledge. It's just always good racing, and it was always a lot of fun to race with you.
I always tried to drive people like I wanted to be driven, so that's sort of. Which back in them days, that's the way people drove.
I think so too. I mean, yeah.
Like I said, if you didn't, it would get handled.
Yeah, that's right.
You probably wasn't gonna like it.
So some of the people that really helped you out in your career. Let's talk a little bit about your brother Mark. He's really passionate about the racing.
He loves it, and he sleeps, eats, breathes it. I mean, he's the biggest reason I've had the success I've had. I mean, he just he loves working on it, and we'll be at the track, and I feel like we're pretty good, and he'll want to get better. Let's try something.
Yeah.
We can always go back. Let's try something.
He never wanted to drive? Is that anything?
Not really.
Okay.
When I first started and had the Pintos, he drove one race at Huntsville because I had the little black Pinto that I had bought, and then the orange one that we had built, and he drove it one night. He just said he didn't think it was really his forte.
Yeah. But it's really nice to have somebody like that, especially your brother, that you guys can enjoy a sport like that. You get your father-in-law, Moody Knight. Yeah. You had a lot of great times, always with you and involved in your racing.
Yeah, it's been a family deal.
Yeah.
All through the career. I mean, it's, Mark, he's, actually in 06 is when that was really, I guess, my last really good year. I mean, that we was good everywhere we went. Mm-hmm. I think we ran 24 races that year, and I think we won 8 or 9.
That's strong.
And we let a couple get away, like the Snowball. We won it, but we didn't get to keep it.
Tell me about that. How'd that make you feel?
But early in the year, the Rattler at Op.
Yeah.
I had ran Charlie down. This was early 06, before Charlie had his wreck. And I ran Charlie down and had got under him, passed him for the lead. And the caution came out with, I think it was 10 to go.
Yeah.
And riding around under caution, I run out of gas.
No.
Yeah. The Rattler, that's been second. I've won the Rattler in 96, but that would have been the second one I'd won. And we had pitted, and the boy that was supposed to put gas in it didn't get no gas in it.
Mm.
And he didn't tell nobody until we done went back racing.
Oh, really? So there's nothing you could do?
So me and Mark, we done decided, well, we hope we make it, because if we pit, we're not going to win.
That's correct, yeah.
So we just had to ride it out. And we didn't make it. And that was the Rattler. That was early 06. So we started the year off good. And then we, like I said, won the Classic.
Yep.
And then went on and won the Snowball and didn't get to keep it. But
tell us what happened to Snowball. I don't remember the details about that.
Got disqualified on the left side weight. Mm. If you broke it down in pounds, it would have been 0.1%, which the car weighed 2690 after the race, so 2.69 pounds.
Wow.
Over on the left side.
Wow.
So that's not a real good subject with me. I mean, I've been in racing, I've been caught cheating, and if I'm cheating and you catch me, I have no problem with it.
That's great, yeah.
But when you're trying to do right, and I just had a dominant car. What
made your car that good that year, you think?
Well, that was one of Mark's deals. We had been trying stuff, and we hit on something, and kept it to herself.
Yeah.
And it was like a year later before anybody else ever hit on it. I feel like because my brother-in-law David Ray was helping Augie at the time, and he was telling us a year later, because I think Augie won it 07 snowball. I think he won it next year. And he was telling us what they had done. And me and Mark just looked at each other because we'd done it a year before.
Wow.
It basically wasn't a bunch. It was, we had just kept inching up on right rear spring and turning it off of the right rear and taking stagger out of it. It's basically all we was doing.
Okay.
And it
just worked.
You know how Pensacola is. You don't ever really straighten up anyway. So it's with stagger, they tend to want to jump sideways at mid-track anyway.
Yeah, right.
So we just kept doing it and kept doing it, and
taking it away, and it just kept digging.
And it kept getting better, and it was the best car I've ever had in my entire career.
Wow.
It was fast, short run. Well, we sat on the pole. It was 69 cars down there, and we sat on, didn't get but one lap of qualifying.
Wow.
Had a fender tempered off about a half inch. And, And the man took a lap away from me in qualifying.
Wow.
And back then, they didn't let you run both your laps and take the fastest. You just got one lap. That was it.
Period. So,
But he might have done me a favor because I was so mad. I was going to make the field. So he might have done me a favor. But yeah, we hit on that, and the car was just good. It's a funny deal. A couple of years ago, I was up at Nashville, and Gary St. Amant come up to me, and he was laughing. They was, 06, we was little old trailer of ours down there amongst them 18-wheelers. We was a nobody, and then we done sat on the pole. And
right.
Gary St. Amant was parked right beside us, and they kept looking over there, and when we had the tires stuff off of it, he was telling me this. He said, yeah, we looked over there and seen that old big spring and stuff, and said, yeah, he is fast, but he won't stay in the race, and he'll go away. He said, and then you run away with it like you did. He said, you can bet your butt we had one the next year.
No doubt.
But he said they were sort of over there laughing at us. Yeah, he's fast, but he ain't going to last long.
They're going to right rear spring in that thing.
That Pensacola way it eats tires.
Yeah.
But it was because we went back and looked at the stats on it, and the fastest lap of the race we ran it on like lap 214.
Really?
And our last, and the set of tires that we ran that lap on, we had took on tires on lap 172.
Really? So they got close to 50 laps or so on them at that point.
And that's what we finished race on.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah, we ran, 128 laps on the same set of tires at Pensacola.
Wow. Unheard of.
And, had a good car.
Man, it's sad that it went down like that.
Well, and then that's where the story starts.
Oh, yeah?
That's where the downfall starts. The officials didn't take into consideration what all they was doing over a little nitpicky like that, because that's when Mr. Taylor, Wick Taylor, he got mad at racing, and there went my money man.
Wow.
So that's when they cost me a whole lot more than just that win.
Right.
That's when my career sort of started to downhill slide in 07, because I didn't have no funding.
Right.
I mean, it really,
It affected you a lot worse than people realize.
Oh yeah, a whole lot. I mean, it's, took the win away, no name on the t-shirts or nothing.
Wow.
I mean, that's a big accomplishment. I mean, that's biggest short track race in the country.
No doubt about it,
And then you lose your money man.
Yeah.
It was so from then on, it's been basically racing out of my own pocket and here and there. And, had some pretty good sponsors. I mean, I've had Jimmy Shelton with Space and Rocket Auto Sales, and then Lee Laster Farms, he come on, but they're basically tire sponsors,
Sure.
The upkeep on the cars and everything else is, falls on us.
Mm-hmm.
So that has took a toll on us a little bit in the last several years.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that when you're sharing with me, and a very good valid point that you make. This racing, this technical stuff gets to be so far infringed on the rules that it's not really the way it should be, and you're held in such a tight guard. And again, you and your sponsors go down there and you run so well and you win this race. And I can understand this frustration and yours as well. But, but when that comes back to the house and it takes that sponsor from you, I mean, it was more or less for that league and that type race, it was career ending.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as my traveling,
that's right.
I knocked around Huntsville and then Nashville, which, we rebounded a little bit, and in 2012 and ran Nashville full season and won the track championship up there in 2012.
That's a really big honor.
Yeah. I mean, on budget we run on against Willie Allen, people like that up there. Yeah, it was pretty good accomplishment also.
Well, you're looking back on your career, and when you and I started speaking to each other the other day about it, for you guys to be as far as removed from everybody and all the stuff that's coming to you, a lot of these things are relationship based, this knowledge that you get. But you guys, and I know you had some of that, but you and Mark, like you said, with the spring and stuff, that's stuff that you guys just continue to improve on your own because your understanding of it. And you guys done a remarkable job through your whole career to make you guys winners. And you got to be very proud of that.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, we did a whole lot by trial and error.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
A lot of errors.
Yeah.
Down the road, but Mark, like I said, he's the one that made me look good because I mean, it's just a lot of the cars was just easy. I mean, you could have put basically anybody in them. I felt like, just I've always felt like through my career I was maybe average driver in good equipment. I mean,
I've said that a million times. Give me a great race car and make me a halfway race car driver.
That's me. I never have put myself up on no pedestal that I was all this or all that. Well, because believe me, you get thinking that, then you get an ill handling when you find out how good you are.
That's right. Well, your career was kind of like the Elliots. It's kind of different role. As far as Ernie and stuff being involved, but Mark being involved with the chassis and stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same kind of parallel career. It looks,
Yeah, I mean, I'm proud of what we've accomplished. I mean, with like I said, told you yesterday too, if some of these racers could see that little 2-car garage we run out of, out running them.
You got to send us a picture of that. We got to get that. We got to get that picture on the screen.
They would feel really bad, believe me.
Well, tell us what it means to you to be nominated and then chosen to be in the Alabama Auto Racing Pioneers Hall of Fame. What does that mean to you?
Well, I haven't really gave it a whole lot of thought, but I mean, it's a great honor. I mean, and I'm really proud of the people that's put this together, this Alabama Auto Racing, to recognize some of the stuff that we've done.
Absolutely.
Because, in racing, we do it for the love. It sure ain't for the money.
That's correct. Yeah.
So it's good to get recognized just for what you've accomplished and stuff. And
well, I'm going to say this from my perspective. You truly earned it. You and Mark and your crew. I mean, there's no doubt about it. This is not something that's a gesture or anything else. You guys came in and you raced at levels and you won huge races and you done it, like you said, strictly with your family. And I don't know, I don't know anybody that's done it any better than you guys have.
Well, I appreciate that. We loved it. That's the only way you can. I mean, that's all for years. That's all we did.
Yeah.
That's what people used to ask me. And I said, well, I don't hunt, fish. I don't play golf.
Yeah.
I said, I play with cars. That's what I do. This is what I do.
You got a wonderful wife, Karen, that's been by your side for so many years and helped you.
Yep. She's stuck with me. Actually, when I was running the NASCAR deal, she was my car owner. And if I'm not mistaken, I think she beat me one year in the final points.
Did she really?
Didn't you beat me? I think she finished one position ahead of me in owner's points versus driver's points.
Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know how that happened, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, she spotted for me. That's one good thing. It's been total family, you know, which my dad, my brother, and even my sister, you know, her husband, David Ray, you know, is involved in it.
Yeah.
So it's a whole family deal. And then married in to racers too.
Yeah.
Moody, my father-in-law, raced back in the day and then owned the racetrack 2 different times. And so I got a good wife. She sort of understood what she's getting into.
Well, that's good. And go share a little bit about your thoughts about Moody and coming up with him. Both of you guys getting inducted into this Hall of Fame at the same time has got to be really special also.
Oh, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going in the same class. Yeah.
Yeah.
That meant a whole lot to me. I was really hoping he'd get in. You know, I was more so wanting him in than myself, you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm still out here plugging along, doing it and having fun at it. But when Bill called me and told me both of us got in, that was a pretty good feeling.
Yeah.
You don't get much better than that.
Well, again, it's still family.
Still family.
I mean, and you're still accomplishing things as a family, even this late, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really, really neat.
Which if I'd listened to Moody, I might have accomplished a little more, but because he all along when I was helping Harold and Tony and before I started driving, he was always, why don't you drive? Why don't you start driving?
Right, yeah.
And then he tried to push me into it, and I was like, I'm good with where I'm at. But so he's always supported me, but now he's got that. I told you so. You should have started early. But I couldn't have done it without him either. He's you know, financially and supporting us too. I mean, he's been behind us 100%, and which Moody 30 years. He's helped a ton of racers out.
Right.
That's that's what got him into this Hall of Fame. I feel like I don't feel like his driving ability is what got him there. It's what he's done for racing and for other racers in 30 years. I mean, because he's been helping racers since the late 60s, early 70s.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, he raced in the early 60s, but then he helped racers from then on. He's helped a bunch. He's helped Tony Walls when Tony was struggling. He helped Dan Bedingfield. He's helped a bunch of racers 30 years.
Yeah.
He's always, and when he owned the track, if you needed to practice, you just went down there and made sure you locked the gate back.
Wow.
It wasn't no
trying to
$500 or $600 charge. You just go down there and you practice and make sure you lock the gate when you leave. And he's took care of a bunch of racers 30 years. That's pretty much what I think's got him in, and well deserving. I mean, he's
no doubt
for what he's done for racing, because it's I wouldn't want to own a racetrack.
Right.
That's that you just a glutton for punishment, because you ain't gonna make. I told Rick Davis up in Nashville the other day when he was checking engine stuff up in Nashville. I said, "You a glutton for punishment." He said, "For what?" I said, "At very best, you make 50% happy."
That's right, exactly.
And he said, "I don't think it's 50%.
But you were sharing with me the other day, and we'll close after this. But the Moody Monday, how did that come about?
Well, that was back in the late 70s when the disco days was going, and there was another bar in Huntsville called Ruby Tuesdays.
Uh-huh.
So when he opened it up, it was Moody Mondays.
Wow, how about that?
So that's how it come about. And that's, like I said, if you go back and look at pictures of my cars, you'll see it on the skirts. I've pretty much run it on the skirts of my car my entire career, that Moody Mondays.
Yeah.
And then he sold it, and I moved out to Hazel Green, opened up a sports bar, and it's called Night Moves. And the way that name come about was, well, Moody Knight moved. So,
yeah,
Bob Seger song. It sounded like a good idea. Mark, my brother, actually come up with that.
Wow.
So, Knight moves. So not only on the race car, he helps me, but he helps me. And he's just, like I said, he's Mark's the one that's got me to this point. I mean, without him, I probably wouldn't ever have amounted to nothing. He's actually the one that deserves this thing. He's put the work in and helped me all these years. He's the one probably deserving of it. I was just a loose nut behind the wheel.
That's all right. Y'all done it together. That's gotta be,
that's it.
Really...
But he's
Tell us one before we go. The color on the car. How did you come up with that? And
I've just I don't know. I just always liked red, and then I ventured off a time or two. I had a black car one time. It was a brand new grill car, and it went to 6 races and finished 1, and it was the one I wound up on my roof at Birmingham.
Okay.
And that done that car in. It made 6 races. I had actually, when I got it on the roof, I had actually painted it red, but I said, I guess it still knows the black's under there. Because so after that, I went back to the red, and I've pretty well stayed with red, some sort of red. I've had the little Pinto was orange. It was like a neon, and then I had the open wheel. It was like a fluorescent orange too, but I pretty much stayed in the red area, I guess. But at one time when I was painting them, I got a lot of comments on them. I wasn't just a solid red. It had a lot of pearl in it.
I remember that.
I had a lot of violet pearl.
Yeah.
And it would change colors.
I remember that.
Because I've read articles and they've called it all kind of colors. One of them called it passionately pink or something.
Okay.
It was a good conversation piece too, like just the color. And then eventually, they started making these red bodies. So
good.
No more painting.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Well, I want to be the first one publicly to congratulate you on your Hall of Fame induction. I think, again, you're really well deserving of it. And I know your whole family's helped you with it, but you guys done a great job, and congratulations to you.
Again, I appreciate it. And like I said, I appreciate everybody with the Alabama Auto Racing Pioneers for putting in the time and effort. And I know it's no pay or nothing. So it's like racing. They got to love it too.
That's true. Yeah.
So I appreciate them doing it, and appreciate even being thought about it. You know,
well,
it's a great honor, and I really love the class that I went in with. My father-in-law, Billy.
Yeah.
Raced many races with Billy.
That's
and
great.
Billy's never had a problem.
Yeah.
Rubbed a few times.
Yeah. He's a great guy too.
Of course, it's Billy. You gonna rub with Billy?
But
no, we've never had no major problems. And Buster, the class that I went in with, I really thought a lot of every one of them that I knew. Even the Tony Walls, going in on the deceased side.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
And what's Miss down there at the back gate at Montgomery for years.
Miss Louise.
Yeah, Miss Louise, yeah. I don't know how she put up with all of us all them years either.
That had to be the sweetest lady on this earth.
It was, because I know she heard a lot of stuff. Because at one point, when you went through the front gate at Montgomery, that was the worst track it was to try to get into.
Right, yeah.
And I know she heard a lot of stuff. But she was a good one too.
Yeah.
And I just, most of the class that I'm going in with, I've got a lot of respect for all of them.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to come down today. I know you had to drive for quite a while to get here, but I hope this really turns out and it makes you really proud.
Proud already.
Right.
Like a proud father.
That's right. Well, deal. Thanks again, and congratulations.
All right. Thanks, kid.
Yes, sir.